Hello, welcome back to my mini classroom. My name's Jen and my job is to help parents help their kids with their reading at home. If you've been here before, thank you so much for coming back. Thank you for watching another video of mine. If you are brand new, welcome. It is lovely to have you here. And today we are going to be talking about something that I know a lot of parents get worried about towards the end of year one. It is the Phonics Screen Check. Now, this is the first big assessment that your kids will face in the UK, and there's a lot of discussion about it. There's a lot of fear and concern about it. So I wanted to spend today talking through what it is, talking through what it'll be like for your kids, and then talking through what you can do at home to prepare your child for the screen check and make sure that they're really confident going into it. So it's not scary at all and that they can do the best job that they can with it. So first things first, what is the Phonics Screen Check? It is an assessment of your child's reading that happens at the end of year one, normally in June, where your child will be taken into a quiet space, a quiet room with either their teacher or an assessor, and they will be asked to read 40 words, starting with some very easy ones, going up to some quite tricky ones. Throughout this, your child has to just read the words, just go through, and their teacher will tick off the words that your child gets and put a dot by the words that your child doesn't get. Now, obviously, your child can't see this assessment, so they can't see whether they've got something right or wrong, and the teacher isn't allowed to say, yes, you got that right, or, oh, try that one again. All we can do as the assessors is sit there and smile, and the kids just read the words. This assessment happens in June, so towards the end of the year, when our kids have had a chance to cover all of the phonics sounds in phase 2, phase 3, and phase 5. If you want to learn more about that, you can look at my phonics phases and stages video that I will either have released already or released very soon. But ultimately, it's a test of our children's ability to recognise sounds and blend them together. That's all. Now, I know for a lot of parents, this can seem quite concerning. It can feel like our kids are being tested far too young, and it can be a bit worrying that our kids are being assessed at this rate, particularly as this is their first formal assessment. They'll have done the reception baseline assessment in September of reception, but that one is very informal. So our kids won't even know that they're doing it. This is the first assessment where our kids will be taken from the classroom and being made aware of the fact that they are doing a test. However, I actually love the Phonics Screen Check. I do it every year with my kids, obviously, and I find that the kids really enjoy it because I make it fun. I always tell the kids, oh, we're going to go off and do a really important test, because the kids in my class I know find that really fun. They find the fact that they can show off their work really important. I then say, okay, I'm going to test you. I'm not going to smile. I'm not going to say anything. You just have to read all the words and do the best that you can. And then I will tell the children their score at the end. And I will put the focus on the improvement that the children have made. So the pass mark for the last however many years has been 32. It's likely to be 32 again this year, but of course the government might change that. But what's important is the progress that your child is making throughout the year. Most schools tend to do an assessment when your children first start year one. I would then do another one in January, and then another one at the very start of the summer term, so that we can track progress, see which sounds our kids are finding trickiest, which things we need to go over again. And also, by the time they then reach the Phonics Screen Check in June, our kids are so used to it. They've done it so many times. It becomes normal for them. So rather than being nervous and anxious about doing this test, it's easy. They just go straight through it and they're like, yes, love this, we're ready. They also then feel huge pride because of the progress they've made. So if I have a child who scores 7 back in September and then they make 19 in the summer, the progress they've made is huge. And that's what I would focus on with the child. And I would praise them for that. And I would point out how much progress they've made over that time. Now, most teachers in the UK will do exactly the same thing. And I would encourage you, if you're doing the Phonics Screen Check at home, to do exactly the same thing as well. Focus on that progress, focus on how many more words your child has been able to read, rather than on whether they have passed or not. If your child does not pass the Phonics Screen Check in year one, please do not worry. They will have another chance at the end of year 2. We all know that kids learn at different rates. Some kids are just that bit younger, particularly if they're born in the summer. They just might not be ready to do the Phonics Screen Check. And unfortunately, the way that the UK school system works is that our kids do just have to do certain assessments depending on what year they're born in, rather than whether they are developmentally ready for it. What I tend to see is kids who don't pass the Phonics Screen Check in year 1 do so by the end of year 2 because they get extra intervention and they are just that bit older. So they have a bit more time to develop their reading skills and their confidence as well. So now we've gone through what the Phonics Screen Check is and a bit of what it's like for our children, let's have a look at what it actually is. So first off, your child will be given 40 words on sheets like these. They will read the first 4 and then they will go on to the next. Your child's teacher will be ticking off whether they know those words or not. That's all. At the end of the 40 words, your child will be told, well done, and they'll be sent back to class for the next child to do the assessment. That is literally all this check is. However, the words do get more complicated as you go along, and there are also alien words in the set as well. Your child will know if it's a real or alien word because it has aliens next to it if it's an alien word. I know a lot of people are a bit confused as to why we have alien words in the Phonics Screen Check. Obviously, we want our kids to be confident reading real words. What is the point in teaching them fake ones? That is completely where I was when I first started teaching reading. However, I am in a completely different camp now. I am fully behind teaching alien words. The reason for this is that before your child learns to read, every word is an alien word. Every single word is one that your child doesn't know, and they have to work it out. So by having alien words, your child is able to recognize the sounds and blend them together. That is what the Phonics Screen Check is testing. It's not testing understanding of words, it's not testing comprehension or vocabulary or even fluency in reading. It is simply testing the ability to decode, which means to recognize, break down words, recognize the sounds in them, and blend together. If your child is able to do this, they are able to read most words in the English language. There are complicated ones, and your child does have to have additional skills to read the ones that are less standard as words. But on the whole, by being able to recognize the sounds that letters make and blend them together, your child can read a lot of words very, very quickly. So let's go through the process of the Phonics Screen Check. First off, we have 3 sounds for your child to read. So for example, this first word would be b, reb. Your child just has to put them together. If your child finds B's and D's tricky, here's a quick trick. A B doesn't have a tail, but a D has a tail like a dinosaur or a duck. After the first page, we then start moving on to digraphs. These are the phase 3 digraphs, so the slightly more simple and easy ones. But your child, again, just has to spot the digraph within the word. So qu, op, quop. It's still only 3 sounds to make 1 word. The next page starts to get a little trickier using adjacent consonants. So we have sk, 4 sounds instead of 3. Then we move on to our real words. We can tell that they're real words because they don't have an alien next to them. But again, it's the same practice. Ch, op, chop. 3 sounds, 1 word. The next page, again, still just the same simplicity, but they are adjacent consonants now. So adjacent consonants are where you have 2 consonant sounds next to each other, like t in gift, and our children just have to be able to blend all those sounds together. Then we get on to section 2 of the test. So all of this, the whole first 20 words, is up to phase 3. Your child will have covered these by the end of reception. The second section involves the phase 5 sounds, which are also known as alternative sounds. These are trickier for our kids. They will be covered in year 1. But if your child is confident in their blending and confident in their recognition of sounds, they will be able to do these as well. Again, we've got our alien words, and we've got some adjacent consonants and some normal words. But these are all phase 5 sounds. So what E is a phase 5 sounds. What E, weef. We also start on the split digraphs. It is really important that your child is spotting split digraphs, and this can be really, really tricky. But the more practice they get, the more you remind them, look for the E on the end, look for magic E. Can you see a split digraph? The more confident they will become in spotting them as well. So again, we have 2 sets of alien words, and then we move on to the real words. This section is the hardest section to do because they are real words and your child has to work out what the real word is, even if the sounds don't quite match. So for example, we have this word. Now, in year 1, most schools will not have taught the k, sound. That makes a s sound. Most schools won't have taught that. So your child is likely to read t, w, I, k, twike. This is where your child has to work out what the real word could be. So in this case, it's twice. I will say, don't worry too much if your child doesn't know this, because the pass mark tends to be 32 and there are 40 words in the assessment. Once your child has reached the 32 mark, it doesn't matter. They can get 8 of them wrong. So if they got to this point, they can forget both of these pages. They can pretty much throw both of these pages out and it doesn't matter at all. And these 2 pages tend to be where the tricky words come in. So don't worry if your child is not going to recognise those words. I know one year they had groups, which was really cruel because it was groups, and the kids just couldn't work it out. That wasn't a problem. I think I had one child in my whole class who got that. It didn't affect anyone's score. But that is the only thing to remind your child, is that it is a real word. So if they can think of the real word, go for it. Otherwise, they are just carrying on with reading those words. And if they've been able to read the other ones, these ones aren't too tricky either. The only other thing is, on the final page, you get multisyllabic words. So like ch, ing. And a lot of children forget all of those sounds and will make a guess. I will always recommend break it down to 3 sounds at a time and then blend those 3 sounds and add some more. Your child will have so much time to do this. They have as much time as they choose to do these. So if they want to break it down to ch, charm, ing, charming, fantastic. That is a really good way of doing it. So now that we've gone through all of those and I've shown you an example of a phonics screen check, I want to talk through a few things that you can do to help your child become more confident for this at home. The first thing, and probably the most obvious thing, is to practice flashcards. Practice the sounds that your child is working on in school, very simply through just showing them and doing this for maybe 30 seconds each day and getting your child to say what the sound is, what the sound is, what the sound is. But you can also play games like sticking them up around the house and getting your child to run and find them. I actually run a membership that focuses on activities like these to get your child really confident with those. So if you're interested in that, either follow me on Instagram or click the link down below. You're very welcome to. But ultimately, the more your child sees the flashcards, the more your child has a chance to sound out those sounds and recognise them quickly, the easier they will find it when they do the phonics screen check themselves. The second thing we can do is build blending skills. Blending is the core of reading. If you've been with me a while, you're probably sick of hearing me say this, but blending is absolutely the most important skill when it comes to reading. And fantastically, we can do a lot of blending without any sounds while we're on the go, while we're playing, while we're walking to the shops. There are some fantastic things that we can do. And again, I've left a link below to some blending activities for you to try if you'd like to. But right now, I will share with you my favourite one, which is pause mid-sentence and sound out a word. For example, before you go to b-e-d, you need to have a bath. You have then just sounded out a word. Your child has to work out what those sounds are and put them together in their head. You don't have to have any flashcards for it, but you are helping your child manipulate those sounds within their head to work out the word. Again, this is brilliant for adjacent consonants, such as, would you like I, l, k, or j, oos? Which one would you like? Your child has then had to work out m, I, l, k, milk, which has an adjacent consonant, and juice, which doesn't. It's a really, really easy activity that does have a surprisingly large impact. I would highly, highly recommend that you start doing it just to build your child's confidence, even if you're sure that they are going to whiz through the phonics screen check with no problems at all. The final thing I can suggest to help build your child's confidence more than anything when it comes to the phonics screen check is to get sets of 4 words like this, and each day just go through 4 of them. So for example, my child might come home. Ooh, held that upside down. My child might come home, I might show them that, and we would sit down and we would just read those 4 words. Then I'd go, fantastic, you can go and play. Or I might do it first thing in the morning and I might give them those 4 words, get them to read it, and off you go. It doesn't really matter what those 4 words are. They can be simple, they can be complicated, anything in between. The important thing is that you are teaching your child the structure of the assessment. So when they eventually then go into the phonics screen check, if they're feeling a little bit nervous, they sit down, they see 4 words and they go, oh, I've done these 4 words before. I do this every single day. So I know what I'm doing. I know that I can do this and I'm ready to do all of these words. So that's just a quick, simple activity that I've done year on year on year with children who are a bit worried about the phonics screen check. I've given parents sets of 4 words for them to just go over and read on the run up to the phonics screen check. It has helped so much with their confidence. It has prepared them for the assessment, and then they've entered the assessment and absolutely aced it, as I've known that they were going to. So that was a very quick run through of what the phonics screen check is, when it is, which is early June, how it's going to be run, what our kids need to know, and a few suggestions of how you can help at home. If you want more support, I do run a membership called the Raising Readers Community, where I offer loads of games and activities every single month, and at the moment, we are building up towards the phonics screen check, so the games and activities are specifically focused on supporting your child on the run up to this, making them really confident blenders, really aware of their sounds, and doing all of this through games that makes it fun and easy for both of you to do. because there's nothing worse than just having to sit down and just read word after word after word. I completely understand that. So we're doing it in fun, active ways that will get your child excited to do the Phonics Screen Check and excited to show off just how much they know and how much progress they've made throughout the year. If you're interested in that, either pop me a DM over on Instagram at jen.teachers.reading, or you can click the link down below to find out more about it too. As always, if you found this video interesting or useful, I would really appreciate it if you would hit the like button and maybe leave me a comment down below. That really helps the algorithm, which helps me reach more people who might find this useful, might find this interesting. And if you have any questions about your child's reading or about the Phonics Screen Check or just anything in general, please do pop them in the comments. I do read every single comment. I will get back to you as soon as I possibly can. But ultimately, thank you for sticking with me to the end of this video. If you'd like to see more from me, maybe hit the subscribe button, which should be around here somewhere, or think about watching another of my videos, which again will pop up here. But either way, thank you so much for watching this. Thank you so much for sticking to the end, and I hope you have a lovely day.